Can there be a single phrase more powerful than that? Sometimes, just one simple word can warm the hearts of thousands. And this time, that word became the center of an emotional moment for Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara. After captivating the world on the Olympic stage, Riku and Ryuichi returned to the place where so much of their journey began, Skate Oakville. But this was not just a casual visit. This was a return filled with memories, gratitude, and the quiet miracle of two athletes coming back to the rink that helped shape their dream. The surprise began the moment they suddenly appeared at the rink. What had been an ordinary practice day instantly changed. Young skaters were training, coaches were watching, and the familiar sounds of blades cutting across the ice filled the arena. Then two familiar smiles walked in. For a moment, everything seemed to stop. People looked twice. Some smiled in disbelief. Others could hardly hide their excitement. It was as if the entire rink shared the same thought at once. They really came back, and that feeling spread through the arena like warmth. The joy, the surprise, and the pride were impossible to miss. These were no longer just the two skaters who had once trained there. They were Olympic medalists, world-class athletes, and symbols of what patience, trust, and sacrifice can create. Yet what touched people most was not only their success, it was the way they returned. They came back with the same gentle smiles, the same calm presence, the same humility that had always made people love them. One of the most emotional moments came when they walked toward the Olympic wall. That wall represents achievement, history, and the athletes who carried their dreams onto the biggest stage in the world. As Riku and Ryuichi stood in front of it, the moment felt almost silent in its meaning. There were not many words needed. Because behind that pause was an entire journey, every early morning practice, every fall, every painful mistake, every moment when things did not go as planned, every injury, every doubt, every challenge they had to overcome together. All of it seemed to gather in that one quiet moment. And then came the sight that made the moment even more powerful. They held their Olympic medals at the rink where their story had grown. Those medals were not just symbols of victory. They were symbols of every person who helped them reach that place. No one climbs to the top alone. Behind every shining medal are coaches, families, teammates, staff members, and communities who believed long before the world was watching. By showing those medals at Skate Oakville, Riku and Ryuichi seemed to be saying something without needing to speak. Because of this place, we became who we are. That message reached everyone in the rink. The reunion with coaches, staff, and familiar faces made the day even more moving. These were the people who had watched them grow, struggle, improve, and slowly become the pair the world would one day celebrate. For them, seeing Riku and Ryuichi return was more than a happy visit. It was proof that all those years of belief had meant something. The smiles, the conversations, and the memories shared that day carried a special kind of warmth. Even after becoming global stars, Riku and Ryuichi had not forgotten where they came from. They had not forgotten the people who supported them when the dream was still far away. And that is why this return felt so meaningful. On the ice, they looked relaxed in a way fans do not always get to see during competition. There was no pressure, no scoreboard, no judges, and no final pose waiting at the end. There was only the familiar rink, the familiar air, and the comfort of being back in a place that knew them before the medals. Their expressions seemed to say what words could not. We are home. For young skaters watching from nearby, this visit was something they may never forget. They were not just seeing champions, they were seeing proof that dreams can begin in the same place where they stand every day. Riku and Ryuichi once practiced on rinks like this. They once fell, worried, learned, and wondered how far they could go. And now they had returned as Olympic medalists. That sight gave the next generation something powerful to hold on to. Maybe one day that could be me. What made the moment even more beautiful was how natural Riku and Ryuichi remained. Despite all the attention, despite their international success, they still carried themselves with kindness and warmth. During photos and conversations, they gave their attention to each person. They smiled, listened, and made the people around them feel seen. That is what made the visit unforgettable. Their greatness was not only in their medals, it was in their character. In a world where success can sometimes change people, Riku and Ryuichi showed the opposite. They showed that true champions do not rise above the people who helped them. They return to them, they thank them, they carry them forward. The rink was filled with that feeling: gratitude, pride, hope, love. There were no fireworks. No dramatic stage, no grand performance. But sometimes, the quietest moments are the ones that stay in people's hearts the longest. A few smiles, a few conversations, a familiar rink, a pair of Olympic medals, and two athletes who came back to say in their own way, "Thank you." That is what made this day so emotional, because the real treasure was not only the medal around their necks. It was the bond between people, the bond between athletes and coaches, between dreams and the places that protect them, between the past that shaped them and the future they continue to inspire. When Riku and Ryuichi stood there at Skate Oakville, they reminded everyone of something important. Success is not only about reaching the top, it is also about remembering the road that brought you there. And for every young skater watching, their return became more than a beautiful reunion. It became a message: keep going, keep believing. The dream may feel far away today, but one day you may return to the place where it all began, carrying proof that it was worth it. Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara came back to their original rink, but what they brought with them was bigger than medals. They brought gratitude, they brought hope, and they brought a warm reminder that the most beautiful victories are never won alone.